Welcome on in, everybody. It is From The Bleachers. Kaden Foremaster here. Thank you for joining the show, listening into the podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever it is that you found it, whether you're listening or watching over on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, you can, of course, listen to this podcast wherever it is that you find it. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all the different places. Make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss out on an episode. And boy, oh boy, do we have some breaking news today. Some fun stuff to get into in today's episode. And it's been a while since we've talked some NFL. NFL, obviously, the season has been done now. It's been wrapped up for quite a while, so we just don't get a lot of NFL news until today. And this is definitely some big NFL news, so I'm excited to talk about it in this episode of the podcast. And let's get on into it. But first, we want to make sure to thank some of those sponsors of ours that are making today's show possible. Findlay Hyundai, broadcasting out of the Findlay Hyundai studio. And make sure that you're joining us as well, as this summer we're going to be going around to all the different golf courses in southern Utah. Maybe not all of them, but a good handful of them. And so far, we've done Copper Rock as our first of the year. So I want to give a shout out to Copper Rock Golf Course out in Hurricane, Utah. And coming up, we've got the Coral Canyon Golf Course as well, which they're going to be hosts of the Utah State Long Drive. So if you want to take part in the Long Drive, signups are available at thefansportsnetwork.com. You can come play in the Long Drive, the putting contest, or if you've got some buddies, come play in the Scramble as well. That's going to be happening on June 13th for the finals, June 12th for the Long Drive for the first rounds. So keep that in mind. Sign up, play. It'll be fun. I'll be out there. For sure on Saturday, I'll be out there with the Scramble. Maybe I'll try to get out there on Friday. Just kind of depends on how the rest of my schedule looks, how my day looks, but that's the plan, is to get out there. It'll be fun. It'll be a good time. All right, let's get into the breaking news of the day. The breaking news is that there's a massive trade between the Los Angeles Rams and the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns are going to be sending Myles Garrett to Los Angeles, and the Rams are going to be sending Jared Verse back to Cleveland. So a little swap of defensive ends. Now, I will say this, Cleveland is not just getting Jared Verse. They are also going to be receiving a 2027 first-round draft pick, a 2028 second-round pick, and a 2029 third-round pick. That's what I'm seeing up to this point. Now, this is not the first time that we have seen the Rams be a part of trades where it feels like it's win now. We saw Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, and I think that's probably the main trade that everyone thinks of when you look at trades like this, to just say, man, you trade one guy that's ready now for your entire future and hope that it works out. And I will say, this doesn't feel like the entire future here in this trade. It's a little bit different. But obviously, it's built the Lions into an NFC contender. So big thanks for those picks from the Rams, because the Lions are loving it right now. They have some great assets that have come from those picks. But you look at what Myles Garrett brings to this team, and it is a win-now mentality. I mean, this guy is two-time Defensive Player of the Year. He just had a 23-sack season last year. Not to say that Jared Verse is bad by any means. He was 2024 Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was a Pro Bowler in his first two seasons. So you're trading really, really, really good for really good. I mean, that's kind of the trade-off. Then you're hoping, if you're the Cleveland Browns, that Jared Verse turns into what Myles Garrett is now. In some ways, this could be looked at as a win-win. I think it's for sure a win for LA. Myles Garrett's phenomenal. He's the best defensive player in the league. That, to me, is not a question. Myles Garrett being on the Los Angeles Rams is a big win for them, especially in a division that is as strong as the one that they're in. Now, obviously, I'm gonna sidestep the Cardinals on that one, but I still am going to be looking at San Francisco, and I'm going to be looking at Seattle, your Super Bowl reigning champs. And I'm going to say, hey, we need to be a little bit more competitive. If I'm a Rams guy, right, we need to be a little bit more competitive. They will be with this. They will be. It's a tough division to be in, and you want to make sure that you're winning those divisional games. There's too many of them to lose. There's too many games there that you play against good teams, and you need to make sure to win those games, because, listen, the rest of the NFC is tough. You got tough schedules ahead of you. It doesn't help that Seattle goes and wins the Super Bowl, because the way that schedules line up, it doesn't necessarily favor you when you are in the same division as the team that won the Super Bowl, because a lot of times they'll match divisions up anyway. So I expect that with this upcoming year, that's a tough division to play in. Tough schedules ahead for every team in that division, and that includes the Rams. You got to be ready for it. So adding just a little defensive firepower is going to be great. And it's not like Jared Verse was ever bad. It's just definitely a little more on the win now side of where they want to be, which is fair. So it's for sure a win for the Rams. Is it a win for Cleveland? All right, well, let's look at it. Jared Verse, he's younger, okay? So first off, you're going to have great defensive end for much longer than expected. You were maybe going to have Myles Garrett at the top of his game for how many more years, right? There's a question mark on that. You never know. That's a tough position to play. It can be an injury-riddled position. It can be. He's done well to protect himself. So, again, we'll see. But Jared Verse being so young means that they have a lot more years ahead of them where you can have a really solid top-tier defender on their team. That's going to be great for them as they are not in win-now mode. And let's be real, Myles Garrett was just kind of, he was like a diamond in the trash. You know what I mean? He was 100% a top-tier level talent on a bad team, and that just does not always flow. It doesn't feel good. It feels like wasted potential. And so now you have Jared Verse coming in, who still has a lot of potential, but he can now grow with the team as they're going to try to get better. So can they get better? That's the big question. And I think a lot of people are wondering about that. But here's the thing. Those draft picks are going to be a big part of that. 2027 first-round draft pick, a 28 second round, and a 29 third round. Those aren't bad picks. Those are not bad picks. I will say the 2027 first-round draft pick, we'll see how the Rams end up finishing, but that might be a late 20s draft pick. I would guess. Now, again, Matt Stafford's getting older, but guess what? He's also coming off an MVP season. So as this team's getting older, I think they realize that window is closing, that they for sure have a locked-in, really good quarterback. And when I say the window's closing, I mean like they're a year or two out from the Rams being a team that maybe not a full-on rebuild, but a restructuring for sure. And so, yes, they're going to be good, but I look at those picks that they're going to be giving over to Cleveland, and that first pick in the first round, again, that's going to be a late-round draft pick. It doesn't necessarily hurt to get rid of that one. First-round picks are great to have, but it doesn't hurt LA to get rid of it. And it doesn't necessarily completely help Cleveland, but it's not bad. It's not bad. The fact that they went first round first, second round second, third round, whatever, that hopefully opens it up for the Rams that if they do have to enter a full rebuild in 2 or 3 years from now, if things start to go downhill quicker for Stafford than they may seem, then at least they still have some of their first and second round picks because, get to 2029, the only one he gave out was a third. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad when you look at it from that perspective. It still is mortgaging your future, though. There's still not a ton of picks left in the bank for the Rams, as they always just seem to do this. But again, it's win now. I think they still want to try to go out there and win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years with Stafford, get him his second ring, and we'll see. We'll see. For Cleveland, again, it's a rebuild. This is all part of this rebuilding process. They drafted 2 quarterbacks this last year. Which one's going to be the one to stick around? Is it either of them? Who knows? Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders, obviously fighting for that spot. So they've already got that part of it to deal with. The whole Deshaun Watson saga with how much money they gave him was just an absolute disaster. They still have a long ways to go. They've got to clean things up. They've still got a lot to do in Cleveland. But I think it could be a win. I'm not going to give them a full win yet, but I'm just saying the potential is there that this might not be the worst thing. I still don't see a Super Bowl ending up in Cleveland anytime soon. I really don't. I don't see it happening at all in the next, I don't even know. I would say best case scenario, I still give them 5 years. And to me, that just feels ridiculous to even think Cleveland will win a Super Bowl. I'm sorry, Cleveland fans, but it feels weird. I don't want to say that they're going to be a Super Bowl team. I'm just saying best case scenario, if they were to build this team perfectly, that's your time frame. And football's weird. You know what? Football can be a year to year. You could go worst to first. Look at the Patriots. They did it in the AFC. But again, it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. So what are they going to do? What is Cleveland really going to do? Are they going to bounce into being a top team? No, they're still going to be pretty bottom of the barrel this upcoming season, if I had to guess. We're talking a 6-win team, right? That's my guess. That's where I'd put them. 5 or 6-win team with a lot of prospects ahead. So there's a lot to look forward to for those two programs specifically. But again, you kind of look at the NFL as a whole right now and you think, all right, this is one of the big blockbuster trades for this year. What's next? I feel like we've just gotten started. I mean, we will still see some moves. I can almost guarantee it. But what is it really? What is really going to happen? And again, that's just one of the moves. There's some other things going around too. I mean, we're always going to see some other moves happening. But as of right now, that's kind of been the big one. We've seen some things come out recently. For example, like Russell Wilson, he's going to become a CBS sports analyst. So, congrats to him. We'll see when exactly that's going to happen. But, we're starting to see a changing of the guard in a few different places. And it's just feeling to me like the upcoming NFL season is really going to push that even further than last year did. Last year was the year that we saw it a little bit because, number one, Kansas City Chiefs not even making the playoffs. That was a big deal. That was a huge deal. The fact that we saw two teams with quarterbacks that, yes, you had like the comeback side of it. If you're looking at Seattle and Sam Darnold, like that's going to be the comeback side of it. Then you have the new era of New England with Drake May. You have that side of it. Still two fairly young quarterbacks for the most part that are taking over these programs that historically have been there and have done well. Obviously for Seattle, it was back when Russell Wilson was there, and it was, it was a big deal. The Legion of Boom, all that kind of stuff. But you got to remember that was 2014 was when they won that Super Bowl. Was when they absolutely destroyed Denver. Was that Super Bowl in February of 2014? So it's been a little bit. It's been a little bit since they were extremely successful. Now, they did go back. They lost that Super Bowl the next year. And since then, it's not a dynasty, so I don't want to call it that, but that era, we'll just say, of Seattle is over and done with. They went through the Geno Smith days, and it didn't pan into anything. It didn't work. And immediately after moving on from Geno, you make it to a Super Bowl, you win a Super Bowl. That's great. Is this a brand new era for Seattle? Are they going to be back again? Is it a changing of the guard? I don't know. NFC hasn't had like that one team that just consistently shows up over the course of the last decade. It's been the Eagles a handful of times. It's been Tampa Bay a handful of times. The Rams have been there. I mean, we're the 49ers, right? Like we're seeing different teams. But the AFC, it's always been like, let's be real, it's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs that are always going to be there. They've been that team. The Bengals sneak in one year, right? But last year was the Patriots. We're starting to see changings of the guard happening right now in the NFL, and I think that's fun. It's nice to see some new teams start to make a push. You're still going to get the same old guys. In the AFC, I would not be surprised if the Chiefs bounce back this year. If they don't, maybe the writing's on the wall that you need to make some bigger changes than you're expecting. I wouldn't say that that's a Patrick Mahomes issue, although he is still coming off of an injury this year. So that's going to throw a wrench into some things. Potentially going to be ready to go fairly early, but I'm hearing mixed things from that side, from the Kansas City Chiefs. You still have the Buffalo Bills. They'll be good. Baltimore Ravens. I think they're still going to be pretty good. Then as you look across the league, you start to see some of these teams that are kind of always there in the last 5 years or so that are going to be coming back, but some newbies. How is Jacksonville going to do? How's Houston going to do? How are the Bengals going to do? Are they going to bounce back? There's always these teams where you look at them and you wonder. The Broncos obviously have had a phenomenal season last year. Do they bounce back, and are they going to make a push out of the West? Who knows? Big things are happening. I think big changes are coming for the NFL. I think that we are in the beginning of a new era of football, and I think the Rams are specifically holding on as much as they can to being a powerhouse. I think that's what this deal was. I think this is why they bring over Myles Garrett, to just make that final push before their time is up, which is coming, and it's coming quick, before they give it up to whatever NFC team is going to be next. Seattle's obviously already there. I think Detroit's on the cusp of it. And you still have Philadelphia to worry about. You still have a lot of really good teams. What about Washington? What about, there's a few teams that feel like the potential is there to take that step forward and be the next perennial powerhouse for this next generation of football players and for the next generation of the NFL. The Rams are holding on to their final push of being a solid team. They could do it. I think they've got the offense. That Stafford Puka Nacua connection is huge. Defensively, they've got a lot going on. But again, we'll see. We'll see. It's still just the summer. It's early. It's June 1st today at the time of this recording. So still a lot of time before we really kick off the NFL season. But stick around. We'll talk a lot more NFL in this podcast in later episodes. Some of the things I want to cover in the upcoming episodes, we're going to be talking NBA and NHL finals. Of course, those kick off tomorrow for the NHL, the Golden Knights and the Canes. We'll see which one takes home the title there. Both teams have found themselves in this position before, winning the Eastern and the Western conferences. So we'll talk about that. NBA finals, we'll see a new team crowned. We haven't seen a repeat in many years since, I guess it was since Golden State did it, right? Golden State goes out there and wins 5 in a row or whatever it was. That was the last time we had anybody winning any in a row, if I remember correctly. So that'll be nice to see a new one, whether it's the Kings or the Spurs. We'll see. So we'll talk about that coming up. And we'll talk about MLB expansion. That's also been a hot topic. So for you NFL, NBA, MLB fans, NHL fans, we're going to be covering the big four over the course of the next few episodes in different ways. It'll be a lot of fun. So, all right, that'll do it. Again, the breaking news of the day. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want to message us out at the Fan Sports Network on our social media pages, or you can comment on the podcast or on our YouTube or whatever, just reach out to us. Let us know what you think of this trade, because it is very interesting, to say the least, with Myles Garrett and Jared Verse swapping places between Cleveland and LA. Very interesting indeed. Thank you for listening. Subscribe before you go to From The Bleachers and follow along with the Fan Sports Network. Go to Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is, Facebook, and look for the Fan Sports Network and follow us along on those social media pages. Thank you for subscribing and listening. And until next time, we'll see you.